Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Scottsdale in Arizona. Ooh, she said a different place. I know where your minds are going. Yes, I'm in Scottsdale for the next 3 nights, so I'll be coming live from Scottsdale. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast, number 1407. And tonight, as you can see, I have an amazing guest. This is Francesca Peppiatt. Did I get that right?
Peppiatt.
Peppiatt. I'm still trying to get tongues around these things. And she is an author. She's into musicals. I mean, you have to read her bio that we've got in the description below. She is a phenomenal woman. Even an Emmy nomination she's got there in her little bag of tricks as well. But she has a very unique technique that we're going to talk about tonight, about living your best life with humor. Even through tough times, it is okay to laugh. So, Francesca, welcome to tonight's show. I'm so glad you're able to make it tonight.
I'm thrilled, Helen. Thank you so much for having me. It's just a joy to be with you. You're such a spark of light to the world. Thank you very much for being you.
I feel like I'm in the dark den tonight. This hotel room does not have the greatest light. So I feel like I need to get some flashlights out or something. You know, rig up the lighting equipment over here and
the marquee going. Yes.
Yep, get them going, get the sound guys going, the lighting guys going. Yep, you know all about that stuff. So we're going to be talking tonight about living your best life with humor. What are some situations that people may find themselves in? Because sometimes when you're down and out, or like you're going through grief and all of that, you don't feel like you should laugh. Me, I wanted to laugh like crazy when Brad passed away. Yes, but I felt guilty about it at the same time. So what are some techniques that people can use to get around that? Because the laughter doesn't stop because somebody's died.
No, absolutely. And I think it's a disservice to the person who's passed if you give up on your life and if you just live in misery. I mean, when my husband died very suddenly, very, very suddenly. I mean, it was an hour ago we were in a taxi cab and then I was in the hospital and he was dead. It was like,
wow, what? That quick?
Yeah. Yeah, so no goodbye, no nothing, just gone. And it was like, oh, and I was just drowning in shock and grief and misery and wine and, all the things that you shouldn't do. But what can you do? I mean, we were married almost 30 years. I was, we were together most of our entire lives together and just gone like that. And so you don't, as you said, Helen, you feel like you can never laugh again and nothing ever is going to be good or whatever. And at one point, somebody said, so you lost your husband? I said, yeah, I think I had him here somewhere. It's like looking at life in an unusual way. And it's like, these euphemisms, like, yeah, he died. Yeah. But it would be disrespectful to him if I let my life go down the toilet because he was my biggest fan. And, you just have to realize you were here for a reason. You came on this planet. I mean, there's a statistic about how many billion of sperms or whatever have to go through to get you. The chances of you being alive at all are like a quadrillion billion to 1. And you're really
It's a big number in case you're trying to figure it out.
It's really long and there's lots of commas. And so when you think about it, it's like, wow, I'm here. And there's the times when you want to when it's really overwhelming, you just want to start thinking about, I can sit here and do this fabulous thing with Helen, who's in Phoenix and I'm in Chicago. What? I can breathe. I can look outside and see, trees and green and sun. There's a lot of things. If you can get down to those basics, that will help you just remember that. I mean, I lost my sister very suddenly. My parents are, everybody loses things. Things are going to be thrown at you that are sad or whatever, but don't disrespect. If you can't do it for yourself, don't disrespect the person who passed to give yourself away.
Well, one thing
better than that.
I'm sorry. Yeah. One thing we found when Brad was diagnosed with cancer is that, and he had rectal cancer. So that's a part of the body nobody wants to talk about. Yeah. And we quickly learned that the only way we were going to get through this was with laughter. That was like that was our number one thing, that laughter was the best medicine. There were times he would laugh and he'd be holding his side where he had his ostomy going, please don't make me laugh. My seal's going to break. And like, oh, that'll just be another pile of shit for me to clean up. It's, but we would also have this banter going backwards and forwards as well. But one of my favorite stories with him with laughter is I came into the hospital one morning. This was after his first surgery. And I looked at him and I said, so how are you doing this morning? He turns around and says, those drugs they're giving me, he says, they're awesome. And he was on a morphine pump thing that
just give it to yourself as you need it.
Going on. And he turns around and he goes, I had this dream last night. It was amazing. I go, what was your dream? He goes, I dreamt that we smuggled pizzas into Bosnia in an 18-wheeler. I'm like, okay. And so later that day, two of his mates, and Brad was a software engineer, software architect, so very linear thinking, so something like this was just like way out of left field for him. So he had two of his workmates came in that afternoon that were also software architects. And he's telling them about this dream. The three of them sat there. I was almost on the floor rolling around laughing as they planned in detail, as engineers do. They broke it down. They worked it out. But not only did they figure out how to get the pizzas in an 18-wheeler into Bosnia, and this is back in 2008 for those asking when this was, they also figured out how to get a pizza oven in there that wouldn't put the smoke out and contain the smell. And not only that, but how to bake the secrets for the spies into the pizzas.
That's a full service place.
These three guys just sat there for like 30 minutes planning this they had it down to such minute detail. At the end of that 30 minutes, I was believing that they would actually be able to do this while I'm trying to stay on my chair. But you're in a situation like that. What can you do? Just lay there and go, oh.
Oh, I know. You can't. And I'm thinking, sausage or pepperoni?
I can't even remember what toppings they were just smuggling pizzas into Bosnia, and then they figured out how to cook them in the back of the 18-wheeler without the smoke, the smell, and the secret messages in there. I was like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious.
I know. Oh my gosh. Well, because I tell people, when I talk about Doug's passing so quickly, and when I finally got myself sort of on the planet again, and I said I learned three things. I said, first of all, you're never promised tomorrow. Secondly, tell the people you love that you love them. And the third thing is write down your passwords. And it's that, it's touching and it's funny, but it's true. It's like, and it also makes people think about remembering that, like, oh yeah, yes. Oh shoot, I should do that,
You can actually
so it's a funny thing. It's touching.
Yeah. You can actually get books now where you can write everything in, like, this is where my will is, this is my medical directives, this is data, and it's got pockets in there for stuff as well. But it's a book that you can give to the, make the family aware of. Here's this book, this is where it is. And you just change the passwords in there every time you change a password. And Brad was always about keeping it simple. That was his thing, keeping it simple. And so he came up with this formula for creating passwords. And he would have a word that would be 4 to 6 letters in length. So let's see, what do we got here? Click. There's a click. So you might put click there, all lowercase. Then you'd have a number between 1 and 0. So you got 10 numbers to choose from. And you'd put that number there. And, what's the number? A 7. So you've got click 7. And then this is on StreamYard. So you'd put a capital S for StreamYard. Then you would put a symbol there, like a %, a question mark, what the allowable symbols are. And then you repeat the word click. And you use that formula for all your passwords. And he actually did that, which made it easier for me to figure out what his passwords were for everything. And as soon as I had one, I knew what the formula was. I could go in and I could get access to everything in his account. Different accounts and things. His Facebook, his email accounts, his bank records, everything I was able to access because of this simple formula that he had. but because of the length of, because it made it longer than normal and things like that. And sometimes you've got to chop it down a little bit. Like you can't use like peacock 22 capital S percentage sign peacock, because some of them are that's too long for some of them. But he says, just needed like a little 4, 5, 6, or 7 letter word, and you just repeat it on either end. And it was such the most simplest thing. And I'm thinking, I'm going to start doing the same formula. Have my word, have my number, a capital letter, percent sign, or at sign, whatever, and then have my word again. So
wow,
it makes it's very, and you just need to write down that one and say, follow this formula. Here's the key word. This is the formula. Here's the key word, and go for it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And and the whole idea, I think, that going back to the humor aspect, is like, I think people just want to laugh. And was it Norman Cousins who had a illness, and he was told, you've got like, a month or something, and he's like, I don't think so. And he just watched funny movies. He just constantly watched funny movies and laughed and laughed and laughed. And then they come back and they said, oh, you're still here. And, it really does make a difference in your life. Mm-hmm. And you can also look at things in a funny way. I mean, my mother-in-law tells me, she goes, you just look at things sideways, I do. I don't know. You just have to think of things in a different kilter. Because it's not all that seriously. Don't take life so seriously,
We had the entire collection of the British comedy Couples, which we absolutely love. So we got that on DVD, and I also got him Kids Say the Darndest Things, the original series on DVD. Yeah. Oh my gosh, the things the kids were coming up back when that was first filmed, it was like, that would not be allowed on TV today. But it was just the innocence of a child. And it was absolutely hilarious. And so we were watching comedy, wherever we could find comedy. We were, listening to it, laughing at it, coming up with weird jokes. We're talking about the rectum for his cancer. So, and he's online and he's finding all these different videos about rectal cancer. And he found one guy singing some song that was about being a colorectal surgeon. Oh. And we had a colorectal surgeon who was one of the top ones in the Mid-Atlantic region, and he has the best sense of humor. There were times him and I were laughing, and Brad was in a position that you have to be in for certain examinations and things, and the colorectal surgeon's just laughing away with me and everything else. And we're joking, and Brad's going, "Can we cut the crap, please?" Surgeon's going, "Well, it's looking pretty clean in here." But you have to laugh. And it was hilarious, the stuff that we would come up with, and we just kept it going. And even in hospital, we would banter backwards and forwards, and the nurses would fight over who was looking after Brad that day, because it was in an up thing. But I pulled on my first aid training from years ago and literally became his private nurse. And the only thing I didn't do for him was give him his meds and change his IV. Everything else, I was changing his dressings. I was keeping records of all the outputs and everything. And so the nurse would come in once an hour, look at this thing, write them down, clean the board, sign the thing, off she'd go again, come back when it was time. And and we just kept that place rocking. And there was always laughter coming out of our room, always laughter. Yeah. It was always, yeah. We even had one guy that said, "I can tell you two are married." Started laughing.
But I think it really, they say laughter is the best medicine. And I, agree.
I totally agree.
It really does help, and also physiologically, when you're laughing, the oxygen is coming in more, and your blood vessels are pumping. And so it's just not even just for your mindset, for your physical body to laugh. But you can tell them in Chicago, "Batty." I always pick up an accent wherever I live. So when I lived in Nashville, it's like, I got a Plymouth. I get with WSM. So I used to talk like that. And when I lived in New York, I was like, get $1 for a cup of coffee. And so my voice switches to where I live. I'm like a chameleon. Comedian.
Comedians are really And the other good thing about laughter is if you're doing the really good belly laughs, It is a great aerobic exercise for your internal organs.
Yes, no, absolutely.
And we we had the ostomy nurse when Brad went in. He had to go in before surgery to get marked as to where they would put the ostomy, because they couldn't. They were going to be removing the tumor from his rectum, and they couldn't have anything going through there, so they had to come bypass out into a bag called an ostomy bag. And so she marks him up for the thing, and she goes, "Okay, I'm going to give you a piece of advice right here, right now." And she says, "You better take it to heart." We're like, "Okay, what's that?" And she turns around and she says, "I don't care whether you're male or female. The intestinal system in any human body is female. We do not like being mucked around with. And when we are mucked around with, we're going to take our own sweet time to wake up." Because once you've had your surgery, they're trying to get you out of bed within a couple of hours of the surgery and walking around, because walking is a really good massage for the whole digestive system. And so they want you up and walking, because then you're encouraging the digestive system to wake up.
Yes.
And she says, and that thing is female and it don't want to be messed with. And Brad's just sort of like, great.
Oh, good.
But laughter also helped wake up the digestive system as well, because we had the laughter, we had the walking, and so we had that there to help massage the internal organs and get his intestinal system waking up. But she really did. She really was. She got pissed off and she shut down, and then she'd wake up and get pissed off with Brad again. So she'd shut down, and he ended up with an NG tube down there at one point, because she was so backed up and decided she wasn't waking up that all this bile was backing up into his stomach. Yeah, so they had to get it out. And this is going to sound disgusting, but the doctor and I and Brad cracked up laughing when this happened. The doctor put it into the thing, and then they put it onto this device thing that has this container.
Yeah.
And it works on suction. So they get the NG tube in place, and he goes, "Well, I think we've got it in the right place now." And I'm like, "You think?" And he hooks it up, and he didn't have the container closed quite well. And the container blew off, and this green stuff went everywhere, all over Brad, his bed, his half of the room, the windowsill, all the supplies we had on the windowsill. The doctor got coated in it. I got coated in it. And we just and we just all stood there. We just stood there in shock for several seconds. And then all three of us at the same time just started roaring with laughter. And this is like midnight in the hospital. I'm running going, "What the heck is going on?" And they're like, "Oh." And then we went off and got cleaning supplies, and I pitched in and helped clean up and got Brad bathed and in new gowns and all bedding on the bed and everything else. But it was one of those things that's disgusting, but at the same time, you just had to laugh or cry. And we always chose, whenever we had the choice of laughing or crying, we chose to laugh.
You might as well laugh, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I have a friend at work who says you might as well laugh, and it's like, yeah, no, it's totally true. You might as well laugh, because what's the option? Like you said before the dirt nap, it's like, we've only got X amount of time here, and you can choose to be happy or not happy. We can't choose the things that happen to us. We have to, because we're here, and things are going to happen. Bad things are going to happen. It's not because you're being punished, or not because, or for any horrible reason. Things happen just because it's life. And the only thing you have a choice over is how you express your reaction to that happening.
Correct. Absolutely agree.
And that's how you're going to have your best life, is if you pay attention to, I don't have to feel that way. And it sounds like it. I don't mean to diminish anybody's pain at all. This is not to trigger somebody like, "Oh, you don't understand." It's like, "Oh, I kind of do." I've had a lot of things happen, as everybody has. And I'm not saying, snap out of it. Not at all. Not at all. And sometimes you got to, there's this great movie. It's called Ordinary People. If you've ever seen that, with Mary Tyler Moore and Timothy Hutton is in it.
It's been a very long time since I've seen that movie.
And Judd Hirsch plays Timothy Hutton's psychiatrist. And his well, I don't mean to spoiler alert if nobody's seen it, but his friend kills herself, and he's spinning out of control, and luckily he calls the doctor, and he says, "Come to my office right away." And the doctor comes there, and he's saying, "Okay, well, now you can do this." He goes, "Look, I feel bad about this. Let me feel bad about this, okay?" And I think that's part of the thing too. It's like, I'm sure your husband, when he got the diagnosis, wasn't like, ha ha ha, ha. It was like, you feel bad. Yes, you're going to feel bad.
Yep.
Yes, but you don't have to stay feeling bad.
Mm-hmm. And that's how you got to approach. That's how you approach.
I think I'm kind of shouting, and I don't mean to be shouting, but
That's okay.
it is. I'm mostly shouting at myself. It's like I have to remember that too, because you can stay stuck in these feelings that they're valid. Yes, they're valid. Mm-hmm. My husband died in an instant, gone. 30 years, boom, gone. He's out of, I was pretty miserable and I was pretty unhappy for a long time. And then it's just like, you got to realize that you're here. And by drowning myself, I will say, I was drowning and lining the pockets of Ernest and Julio Gallo. I don't know if you're familiar with that wine company, but it's funny. But anyway, what's the point of that? Why destroying my life because he's gone?
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense,
and
depression.
I promised that I would keep moving forward, so I had to keep moving forward.
Yes.
Yeah, and I came to the crossroads where do I go this direction to keep moving forward, or do I go in this direction and have a big pity party? And I'm like, and I remembered, oh yeah, that's right. I told Brad I had to keep moving forward, so I got to go this way. You guys go have your own pity party over there. I'm out of here.
Yeah. And it's valid to feel badly. Yes, you're gonna feel bad. Things are gonna not go great.
Yep.
Yes,
you're gonna have your days of grief. You're gonna have your down days. That's okay. It's how you get out of them as well, and how you pick yourself up and keep moving forward. And I heard somebody today said that each morning they ask themselves a question: am I going to have a good day or am I going to have a better day?
Mm-hmm.
I thought, I love that.
Yeah.
Those are your only two options: have a good day or have a better day. That's your options.
Yeah.
And I loved that. And I thought, am I going to have a fun day today, or am I just going to have a super fantastic sparkling day?
Like you always say, I love that. Yeah, because we can make the choice. We get to choose how we feel about whatever's happening. I remember when I was back in the days of getting upset about everything. I remember I had a flat tire and I was like crying, like, oh my God, it's and my friend said, it's a flat tire. It's a flat tire. Oh yeah, okay.
Is it going to matter in 5 years? No. Then what are you worried about it now for?
Yeah. And that's the other thing. It's like, as my mother would say, and I used to get mad when I was a kid, and this too shall pass. Shut up. It's like, but now I realize she was right,
Yep.
And when you also think about it, the bad times are not going to last forever.
Correct.
Nor are the good times. So we have to hold on to the good times when they're there and really, really appreciate them, because they're not forever. So revel in them and love them. And because when the bad times come, again, they won't last forever. And then just put your head down and go, okay, here we are. Isn't that funny over there? Let's watch a funny movie or whatever.
Sometimes, you just got to, even when you're feeling down and stuff, there's certain movies that will help lift me up. And usually the ones that are Brad's favorites, but they're comedies. And he had this thing for Legally Blonde. I don't times we have watched that movie, whether it's the full movie or whether it was part of, if he was channel surfing it was on, he would stop and watch that movie. And one day we're sitting there and I'm sitting reading going, oh, we've got Legally Blonde again. Okay, he can watch that. I'm just going to sit here and carry on doing what I'm doing. All of a sudden he goes, that's where we got married. I'm like, what? And he winds it back. He goes, that's where we got married. And I had a look in the scene where Al and Warner do the breakup scene. They're actually sitting at a table on the spot where Brad and I stood and got married in the movie, because they used the restaurant for that we got married in for that scene. And I don't know how many times we'd watched that movie before. We'd never picked it up. And so now when I need a lift of, a lift in spirits or something like that, I will put Legally Blonde on. Because it has some great scenes in there that, even though the joke and how it's going to end, it still makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Still makes me laugh. And there's other, or I'll put Couples on because we loved that. Couples, because we loved that movie. And that TV series. And that'll help pick me up. Even though I know all the jokes, I know what's happening. I know what the storyline is. We've watched them so many times. It's still funny. And there's comedies out there like Friends and Oh, all those other ones. I prefer the British versions, the British comedy. But even just watching, going through TikTok and watching things like snippets from Carol Burnett's show or Mama's Boys or stuff like that, just to help lift your spirit. You may not burst out laughing, but it lifts your vibration enough that you're able to take that step and move forward. And I think, and that comedy that's there, and you might just say, oh, yeah, they're doing that joke again. But the body recognizes it. It knows it's funny. It lifts the vibration, even if you don't crack up laughing.
There were these commercials, the Grey Poupon commercials. I don't know if you remember them. Where these very rich guys pull up side by side in their Rolls Royces. They're like sitting in the back seat.
Grey Poupon.
Yeah, Grey Poupon. And then the one where he had the squeeze bottle and it goes like this. And the commercial would start. Nothing had even happened. Just the cars driving up over the hill. And I would start laughing. Yeah, because I knew that it was coming, that they do and the guy's like, no. And the guy's like, oh, okay, whatever. It was so hilarious to me. I mean, it's a fart joke for heaven's sakes, but hey, come on, it's funny.
I have, I should have bought, I didn't think to bring them with me. But I have these, I actually did a video of them the other day. So I've got these two little toys. One's a dog, one's a cat. And there's also a pig. And what are the other ones? There's like about 5 of these animals. And they're very hard to find right now. But if you get them, you just go press me. And you press where it says press me, which is a little hard on its chest. And the dog one will go, wow, woof, 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 and bow, wow, 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 hello. And then it goes off into this laugh. And you can't help but laugh. And I had several of these. And I gave them to different friends in a box. And on the front of the box, it says, have you laughed today? And when I left my cancer caregivers group in Virginia to move to California, I made them all a happy bag. And I got those reusable shopping bags in bright, vibrant colors. They had notebooks in there with a 12 marker set, and it was their happy journal. And whenever they had a happy thought, they were to write it in the happy journal. And they could write it upside down, back to front, whatever they wanted, in whatever colors they wanted. They could do multicolored if they wanted to, whatever. So whenever they were feeling down, they could go pull out that happy journal and read these happy thoughts. And I actually had them, and I found the journal the other day because I had them, I had each of the members that were there that night on my last night go around and write some funny comment in there. So I had that happy journal to remember the happy times I always had at the caregivers group. Even though we had some very serious topics, we had a great time there. We had laughter every night. And the bags were also one each of these toys. And they had given me as a parting gift this monkey rolling around on the floor laughing. Its tail would flip it. And so this monkey would be laughing as the tail was flipping it. And I'm just cracking up laughing because I know what's in their bags. Someone laughing at this monkey and I know what's in their bags. So we all had that kind of similar mindset of let's get a toy that will make her laugh. And I still have that monkey and I just put it down on the floor. And I haven't done it with Zeffie yet. That's going to be interesting to see what Zeffie does when we unpack that one. But yeah, this little monkey is rolling around on the floor and it's got its little fist thumping and its tail flips over. So it's literally rolling around on the floor. And they just had these squeeze toys that would start off like, meow. and they just go on for like 30 seconds or whatever. And I've done a lot of videos on those toys because they're just such great toys, but finding them now is really hard. It's getting harder and harder to find them. And I think they're one of the best toys out there. And just to pop in a box one day and just send it off to somebody and just have you laugh today on it. And they open it up and it says, press me, and they're laughing. Well, we are at the bottom of the hour. Wow, that went fast.
That was so much fun.
I know. That's what it's all about. Laughter. Yes, laughter is, these are 3 lessons I learned during Brad's cancer journey. Number 1, laughter is the best medicine out there. You got to have laughter. And as you've heard us discussing tonight, we need laughter in our lives. No matter what situation that we're in, we need to have laughter. At some time. Yes, there are appropriate times for it. Yes, there are times when it's not so appropriate, but you still need to have that laughter. And I can always tell you about the giggle loop, but that's in couples. So if you've ever seen couples and you know about the giggle loop, then that's that one where you're in a very serious situation, like at a funeral, and you suppress it, the more it wants to come out until finally somebody breaks out laughing in the middle of a funeral service. That's called a giggle loop. So laughter is the best medicine. Number 2, life is short. It doesn't matter whether you live to be 99 or 110 or 53 or whatever. Life is short. Make the most of it. And number 3 was learn the value of giving a true hug. We learned the value of a true hug. And that hug is one that lasts at least 30 seconds. And it is when you're hugging the other person, you're almost going to a meditative state, but you're transmitting across from them feelings that you can't express with words, but you're expressing it with a hug. And sometimes the hugs can turn out to be funny as well. So, Francesca, what is the last words of wisdom you would like to leave us all with?
Oh, my goodness gracious. I guess, just keep him laughing. Smile, though your heart is breaking.
Oh,
Smile,
I love that.
even though it really, you'll see the sun come shining through for you.
Or the sun out tomorrow.
Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun.
Thank you so much, Francesca. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So, now Francesca has a free book that if you would like it, in the description below, it says for a copy of Francesca's free book, go to francescapeppiatt.com/free book. Fill out the form and she will send you a free book.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what the book's about, so you're going to have to go sign up and find out. But Francesca, thank you so much for coming on and sharing us about the importance of having humor in our life so we can live our best lives now with lots of love and laughter. And some laughter comes from deep down inside, from a place of love. And when you're grieving a loved one and you're laughing, that is where that laughter is coming from. And it's coming from that place of love for the person who has passed, and you're sharing a laugh with them. And sometimes I'll sit there and I'll have memories of Brad, and you may do this with memories of your husband. You sit there and you think of that memory that will trigger you laughing every single time, and you share a laugh with them. So you're never forgetting them. You're always going through your memories, and things will trigger you to cry. Things will trigger you to laugh. And somebody just may say something that might catch you and go, oh, yeah. And all of a sudden I'll be talking to Brad and go, hey, do you remember the time that we did da-da-da-da-da? And then you crack up laughing before you've even got the whole story out. So, yes, laughing with your loved ones, even though they're past, perfectly acceptable. And if anybody tells you to get over it, you have my permission to slap them. Because as far as I know, you never get people go through grief in different stages at different times and everything else. And I remember my sister-in-law telling me when her husband passed, my late husband's brother, when he passed, that somebody said after 2 weeks, oh, are you going to go start dating again? 2 weeks after her husband had suddenly passed. And I said, did you slap them? She says, no, but I felt like it. I said, well, you should have. I would have. Never tell a grieving person to get over it. Never tell them enough time has passed, they should be over it. Because this might end up connecting with your face.
Hold on.
So, Francesca, thank you again. Everybody go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening. I should be on at 6 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. I don't know because I'm not fully aware of what agenda is for the next 2 days. So the next 2 days is going to be a little leeway on that one. Anyway, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Hey, Conera.